This is Game Night with Josh Hennig.
It's good!
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
And he scored!
Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Counting down the Phillies opening day. It's tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first day of the Phillies regular season. And, of course, we will get you ready for it today and tomorrow right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up this hour, we'll get into our expectations for the 2025 Phillies season, as well as how the latest NFL news will impact the Philadelphia Eagles. Coming up this hour, it's a Weinberg Wednesday. Dave Weinberg is back from 97.3 ESPN.com. Coming up in less than 15 minutes. And then at 6:40 tonight, we'll talk NFL with Andy McNamara. And, of course, you guys can join the conversation, as always, at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. You know, today is the last day we can have a legitimate conversation about what could the Philly season be. Because after tomorrow, every opinion that you might have is going to be basically diluted or corrupted or altered or whatever you call it by whatever you see tomorrow afternoon. Because by the time I come back on this microphone tomorrow evening here on 97.3 ESPN, the Phillies game will either be ending or almost over at that point. And we'll have a lot to touch on with the start of the Phillies season. But the two biggest points coming into this stretch of games that need to be touched on. Number one, the Philadelphia Phillies, they are going to be contenders this year. And I know a lot of people are hung up on the Dodgers. But this Phillies team is a team that understands that they have let down and disappointed fans the last couple of years. They are aware of the fact that there's a lot of people out there who are saying, is this team still capable? Are their best years behind them? And I understand that there are some outlets who are picking the Phillies as the second or third best team in the National League, but I don't think it's a consensus. Because everyone I listen to, everybody that I have heard, they have pretty much been saying that they think the Dodgers are just far and away better than everyone else in the National League and nobody's close. And you have to wonder, is that a situation where because everyone is giving more attention to the Dodgers and their super team, if we can call it that, the Braves and their upgrades, the Mets getting Juan Soto, Paul Skeens, his first full year in the majors with the Pirates. There's a lot of talk about a lot of teams in Major League Baseball, and the Phillies are just basically running it back. No real additions outside of Max Kepler. Todd Zalecki on the Philly Show podcast explains that the Phillies players, they may act like that they're not paying attention to the outside noise, but Zalecki explained, Phillies reporter and insider from MLB.com, he explains the Phillies players are well aware of the negative vibes out in the world outside of their clubhouse.
All those guys are very aware of what the perception is outside, even if they say they're not. I think a guy like Trey Turner hears all the talk about him and how he can't play shortstop and how he's been inconsistent. I think that's fuel for him. I think Alec Boehm is very motivated this season after surviving the offseason of trade talks. I would not be surprised if he has a career year this year. I think he is absolutely 100% motivated. And you think a guy like JT and Schwarber, both in contract years, they're going to want to have great years.
And I think it's part of the reason why all those guys are motivated is the reason why I would respond to Jeff from Ocean City's text at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how I do think over 90.5 wins is a safe bet for the Phils because of the reality that I don't look at this Phillies team as a borderline playoff team. Because of the modern wild card, because of all of the guys that you heard Zalecki just mention, this is probably a 95-win team. Now, listen, there's a lot of variables go into it. You got to be healthy. Guys got to play up to expectations. But if Zalecki is right that Alec Boehm could have a career year, and that Schwarber and Real Muto are in the final year of their contracts, and they're going to play like guys in the final year of their contracts, then I don't think it's, crazy to think that this team can go out there and play well. And listen, I understand that, and I've been one of the biggest complainers about this, that the Phillies pretty much did nothing this offseason. Again, a couple of moves. Nothing significant. It's pretty much the same lineup outside of adding Kepler into the mix. But if you go back to last season and you realize that this was a Phillies team, when you look at the big picture, that had multiple All-Stars, this was a Phillies team that even with guys getting injured throughout the year, remember Bryce Harper missed time, Trey Turner missed time, Real Muto missed time. Remember all these guys had these random injuries middle of the season. In spite of all those injuries, they still won 95 games last year. It's not like they were a team that completely fell apart or barely made the postseason, right? No, they actually won the division last year. And I understand part of what happened last year was because of the Braves having injuries and the Mets kind of spending half the season trying to find their way. But as Ruben Amaro Jr. says on the Philly Show podcast, maybe the Phillies having lower expectations is going to make a difference for the team this year.
I've talked to players about this. Like when other teams get picked to win divisions and other, teams are being hyped, I think it pisses them off. And I think it quietly pisses them off. And I think that's a good thing. Sometimes being angry is a good motivator. And I think that these guys in their hearts and souls believe that they're a really good team. And they're much better than the team that got knocked out of their first round of the playoffs.
And that's why I would say to Andrew and Summers' point when he says, no way, man, the Braves got their stars back. Mets added a superstar. The Nats will be sneaky good. We did nothing. The Nats being sneaky good is not good enough. The Mets still have a worse pitching staff this year than they did last year. And the Braves have had their stars before, and they couldn't win in the postseason. So I would just say to Andrew Summers' point, I don't disagree with you about them doing nothing. But sometimes nothing is something. We'll get into that more next. Dave Weinberg joins us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City.
Go get your game on at the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery, go to Fanatic Sportsbook, and go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Matt Platt Mitsubishi makes upgrading your ride to a new Mitsubishi super easy. Brand new 24 Outlander SUV, just $29,999. You heard right. A brand new SUV with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty for under $30,000. That's less than most used SUVs. Plus, zero down, zero payments for 90 days, or 0% financing for 60 months. You just sign and drive on all remaining 24, but they won't last. Get yours before they're gone. So bring any trade, and AJ the Trade Man will get you into a new Mitsubishi. Brand new Outlander PHEV, zero security deposit, and just $399 per month lease. Yep, just sign and drive it home. Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past.
Simply, Matt Platt Mitsubishi.
Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. 1666 per 1,000 financed on in-stock 2024. Outlander Sports. Not all will qualify. Go to mattplattmitsubishi.com for complete details or call 844-946-2315. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 4/4/25. Offers not in combination. Matt Platt Mitsubishi in the heart of Glassboro for 30 years.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, our EV trucking company is officially in operation.
Andrew's zero-emission trucks are driving the transportation category forward.
We'll make driving safer, easier, and less stressful. Now our technology needs to keep up with demand.
He needs to put pedal to the metal on hiring more software engineers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Since 1949, local homeowners and businesses have trusted Jenkins Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Jenkins understands these are challenging times, which is why they're offering financing on all plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and maintenance services. Take advantage of utility loans up to $25,000 at 0% for 7 years and rebates up to $2,950. If you're a new or existing customer in need of service, call Jenkins today. Some qualifications apply. Call 609-641-6262 or visit jenkinsandsons.com.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive presents a sports flash on 97.3 ESPN. Philadelphia Phillies open up the season tomorrow on the road to the Washington Nationals. It'll be Zach Wheeler on the hill for Philadelphia. 16-7, 2.57 ERA in an all-star campaign last year for the Phillies. Mackenzie Gore on the hill for the Nationals, 10-12 with a 3.90 ERA last season. Phillies opening up at Washington tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, the Philadelphia 76ers hosting the Washington Wizards at Wells Fargo Center right here on 97.3 ESPN. The 76ers have won 6 straight against the Wizards, who have the worst record in the NBA at 15-56. They have lost 5 straight in 7 of their last 10 games. Cash back for every bet with a G-Bank Signature Visa card. VSIN.com/GBank. Mike Sennett, 97.3 ESPN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. But not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. HIMS.com/JOY.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Temperatures tomorrow will be very similar to today, but it will be sunnier and less breezy. Hey, we'll take it. Clearing skies tonight with a freeze possible away from the coast. Low temperature will average 33 across South Jersey. Tomorrow mostly sunny and still on the cool side, high 52. Clouds will increase on Friday with a chance of a late day shower, high 61. We might see some 70s this weekend. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
This is New Jersey Human Services Commissioner Sarah Edelman. Home health aides and direct support professionals are in high demand, and this important part of our workforce is essential in helping older adults and individuals with disabilities to live active, engaged lives. New Jersey Human Services can help connect you with jobs and training in these critical and rewarding fields. Make a difference in the lives of others while empowering your own future. Visit jobsthatcare.nj.gov today. That's jobsthatcare.nj.gov.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
I think we saw that with the Eagles last year. I think there's some chip. And they showed the world now they were uber talented. But, you got to show it on the field. And I think that you saw some of that during the course of the year last year with the Eagles. And I think you'll see the same sort of thing with the Phillies. These guys have a lot of pride, man. They care about winning a lot, the most.
Is that a fair analogy? Ruben Amaro says that he thinks this year's Phillies reminds him some of last year's Eagles in terms of how people didn't believe in them going into the season. Well, depends on what website you look at. Phillies are either the third best team in Major League Baseball according to one website, or they're the sixth best. So does that mean people don't believe in them or not? Or is it just Philly fans don't believe? Dave Weinberg joins us here for another edition of Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Doing well, Josh. How are you?
Doing well. So do you think this Phillies team is playing with a chip on their shoulder?
What did they do to improve themselves from last year or the year before, the year before? They're as talented as ever, and they certainly have the chance to contend, but the window is closing to me. I don't, they've gone like a step less than the year before in 3 years in a row now. So I don't know that. I don't trust them, I guess is the best way to put it. Because they've kind of disappointed people before. They certainly have the capability of achieving greatness this year, but until they do, I'm gonna reserve judgment, I guess. I mean, I just don't. I don't see what they've done to make themselves that much better than they were before when they let people down.
Right. Well, that's the biggest argument against them. The biggest argument against them is when you're big offseason improvement additions, whatever you want to call it, are adding Max Kepler and Jesus Luzardo. No one gets excited about that. No one is going to look at that and be like, those guys are difference makers, whether they are or not, whether that's fair or not. The reality is that until you show us on the field, all we have is the perception we have of the team before the season. All of our opinions could change by Sunday afternoon, but the reality is, people overreact to everything, Dave.
Sure.
You covered the Eagles for years. People overreacted to anything that happens in the city of Philadelphia. But for the Phillies, I do think that maybe there is something to what people who cover the team say, which is that this team maybe is a little more focused. Maybe they're a little more zeroed in than they were last year, for whatever that's worth.
No, I don't know. How can you tell that? I mean, they had a great regular season last year and the year before that and the year before that. So there's no reason to think they won't again. But I mean, more focused. It's 162 games. I mean, I don't know how you can tell that. They really, really, really want to win this year. I mean, what does that mean? I don't, I don't get it. I mean, it's baseball. It's a long, drawn out season. You can't get more focused than that. That's baloney to me. I'm sorry.
So then what are Dave Weinberg's expectations from the Phillies in 2025?
I expect them to have a very good year. But until the playoffs start, I don't know that. Like I said, I don't trust them. I don't really believe in them. I think they're going to be very good again. Challenge the Braves and the Mets for the division. Perhaps win it. But the Dodgers are just sitting there waiting for anybody that wants to come challenge them. And when they get to that point, then I'll start. Then I'll start paying it. I'll be paying attention all year because I'm a baseball fan. But I mean, I'm not going to read a whole lot into it until it actually gets to that point.
I think the big thing with the Phillies, for me at least, Dave, is there's two sides of the coin for me. On the one side of the coin is, and I've been saying this for the last few days, I think the biggest concern I have for the Phillies going into this year is Ranger Suarez. This is the third time he's had a back issue. And
right.
I don't care, if you get the best medical care in the world. We all know that at some point the body's never going to be 100% after you've injured the same body part multiple times. There's a depreciating return on investment there. So if you were coming into the year depending on Ranger to be one of your key pitchers, and he's already coming into the year with another injury. I mean, the guy's almost never been healthy coming into a season. So It's like, we're back to where we were last year, right? It's the black hole, the fifth starter spot. It's the close your eyes, children. Here comes Taiwan Walker coming in for the fifth starter. And no offense to Taiwan, but I mean, it's just the reality of it. So my concern is, Dave, this is supposed to be a team that was going to depend on their pitching staff to an extent, and they're already down a man.
Yeah, I think Luzardo helps a little bit there. But
he
yeah,
does. I will give you credit for that. Yes.
But still, yeah, you're right. I mean, Wheeler and Nola, and who else can you really depend on? And I think their offense is talented enough to where I think they can overcome it. I think they're going to score a lot of runs. But yeah, the pitching remains a concern, like you said. As far as it's just not unreliable. He's just unreliable. You can't really count on him. And hopefully Luzardo for them. Hopefully Luzardo, steps up and fills that void a little bit. Taiwan Walker really worries me. I think he's lost. Seems like it anyway.
By the way, for those who don't remember, last year's Phillies team, they finished third in the National League in runs scored. So, now they had 784 runs last year. I just looked it up really quick. So, if we're assuming the Dodgers are going to be the best team in baseball because they're a super team at this point, then even if the Phillies are second best, can you really get more than 784 runs?
Right.
Like,
true. Yeah, I mean,
I
think they'll win some. I think they're winning a lot of like 6-5 games and that kind of stuff. I do think they're still going to be potent, but maybe not to that extent. But I still think they're going to be a pretty potent offensive lineup.
Now, on the other side of the coin for me, Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN, at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform, extra point columns at 973ESPN.com. I think the positive for this team, on the flip side, is I think Schwarber and Bohm are going to have monster years because I think Schwarber, the fact that they have not offered him a contract extension, and this is the second straight year he's come into camp in way better shape than years past. Because remember, he used to be a bit doughy. You know what I mean? He used to be a little bit, soft around the edges.
Yep.
And remember, you and I talked about last spring, we were like, did Schwarber lose 15 pounds? And we found out 2 weeks later that he did. And he looks even better this year. He looks even quicker. He looks even more agile. And I think that's a guy who says, I'm still good. I'm playing for a contract, and I'm going to give this team everything I got. And I think Bohm, look, Dave, you and I both know, Bohm can say all he wants. I don't have apps on my phone. I don't pay what people say. We all know that somewhere along the way, these athletes hear stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I think Bohm, he's kind of sounding like one of these athletes who's like, I went into a cave and I worked out all offseason. Well, good. Go into the cave and work out all offseason. Go get focused. Go out there and prove why you were the third overall pick in the Major League Baseball draft.
Right. Yeah, I think you might be right on both points. Yeah, especially Bohm. I think he's there are a lot of rumors he's going to be traded. He doesn't like Philly. They don't like him. So there's kind of, it's like, if you want to talk about chips on shoulders, it's probably his. I think he's uber talented. I mean, I just think he's a tremendous player, and but that's the mental part of the game for him. I think the emotional part that kind of gets in his way sometimes. If he can avoid that and straighten that out, I think you're right. I think he'll have an amazing year. And Schwarber too. I'm like, do we know where he's batting in the lineup?
Well, that's the goofy part that everyone's talking about, Dave. It's the whole Rob Thompson suggesting they're going to have one lineup versus lefties, one lineup versus righties. So it's going to be like versus the right-handers, it's Schwarber, versus the left-handers, it's going to be Turner at the top of the lineup. And I'm just like, man, Rob, I mean, you sound non-committal. Like, this organization feels like they're trying to serve two masters here. They're trying to appease the people who want Turner to be the leadoff hitter, but they're trying to appease the people who think, well, the Phillies have won 60% of the games with Schwarber's the leadoff hitter. It feels like they're trying to make everybody happy here.
Right. I mean, it seems to me, I mean, he's even lighter, like you said. He's quicker, better shape. I would just leave him there. He did a really good job last year. Made a liar out of me because I didn't think he was the leadoff hitter at all. But he did a really good job, I thought, last year, and seems to be on track to do the same thing. So I wouldn't tinker with that. I think I heard him say that the batting order doesn't really matter.
That was Dombrowski. Dombrowski went on that stupid rant when. By the way, and can I just complain for a second? This is pulling back behind the curtain. So for everyone listening on 97.3 ESPN, I understand that a chunk of you, or when I say this, you're going to be like, what is Josh talking about? So please just let me have this moment, because when I say this, Dave will know exactly what I'm saying. The fact that the Phillies have the general manager of the team speaking, and nobody videotaped it, no one recorded the audio of it anywhere, is insane, considering the Eagles have audio of like the backup guard at his locker talking to the reporters on a Thursday. But the Phillies can't have the president of baseball operations, that's his title, by the way, of the team speaking to the media, and there's no video, no audio of the whole thing anywhere, not even a transcript. I mean, it's absolutely insane. All we have are Todd Zalecki of MLB.com, Matt Gelb of The Athletic, and I think it was Scott Lauber of The Inquirer. They had a bunch of quotes they put in their articles of what he said. That's the only reason why we know that Dombrowski came out and said that basically lineups don't matter, and that, where guys sit in the lineup is of no consequence, which basically everyone who's a baseball guy, right? Former players, coaches, analysts, they are all calling horse manure on Dombrowski for saying that. And I feel like, Dave, and maybe I'm just ranting at this point, Dombrowski basically sounds like a guy who's trying to deflect.
Yeah, I'm really puzzled that no one, wouldn't like a newspaper or an outlet have taped it and put it on their website or something?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Dave, you covered the Eagles for years. Like, I'm sure there was a part of you that during some of those years you were like, well, I didn't get to so-and-so's locker, but I know somebody transcribed it or put the audio up somewhere that I can go back and grab it.
Yeah. It's kind of baseball media is like a different animal.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, it's like they're not. I don't want to say they're. I mean, it's a very tough job to do. The season's very long. It's a grind, especially if you're traveling. I mean, it's like, night after night, different hotels and this and that, and different cities, and you're with the guys for so long that you do have to have a level of trust, a level of friendship almost. Although that's you're really treading lightly there.
Yeah.
But it's not to disparage what they do, but it's a different relationship between a football team and the media and a baseball team. I don't know, it just seems to be they're more how can I put this? They're more positive a lot, I guess, without saying homer, but they're more positive to the team. They're more reluctant to criticize and to disparage anybody because they have to see them every day, all day. But football team, same thing. But I don't know, for whatever reason, their football beat writers, columnists, what have you, are more willing to criticize, more willing to rip somebody. I don't know. Maybe that's just my impression, but it just seems like baseball. Not having been one, I can't say for sure, but I've been in a few clubhouses where I kind of see how it goes, and maybe that was the reason. Maybe Dombrowski kind of intimated that he didn't want it out there. I don't know, but it's really strange to me.
Yeah, the whole thing is weird, but I digress. Dave Weinberg joining me here on 97.3 ESPN. While I have you here, I have to bring up Saturday night. You and I were both at the Tropicana showroom. Another great event put on by Boxing Insider Promotions, and obviously aside from all the New Jersey fighters, going out there and winning for the crowd, I don't know what was more impressive, Dave. Was it the crowd, or was it the fighters in the ring? Because it almost felt like the crowd was energized pretty much the entire time.
Well, it kind of goes hand in hand, right? I mean, because you have Figueroa and you have Selden and you have Sanchez they sold a boatload of tickets, and the people were coming to see them. That's who filled the stands, particularly the ones where the ring is, where the bleachers are. Which, by the way, is the best place to see a fight in Atlantic City. The sooner more people will realize that, the better it'll be. But yeah, it was a great crowd, really high energy, like you said, really enthusiastic, and um, they helped make it that way by all three of them, performing very well, fighting very well, picking
And
up
also,
victories.
and I was gonna say a great moment after Sanchez the third wins his pro debut. The picture now has been going around, his dad picking him up, carrying him
Hmm.
around the ring. Just
Yep.
a wholesome moment. Just a moment of like, in the middle of all the chaos, right? It's a dad and his son having a moment. It's like it's almost like you could make a movie about it or something.
Yeah, it was good. It was. I think you and I maybe talked about this before, where I've known Julio, the father, for a long, long time. Actually, I covered him as a fighter. That's how old I am, and I think he's in his 40s now. But yeah, just to see the two of them interacting, and for Julio to, I mean, I went into the locker room after the fight, and he was just beaming at the fact that his son, picked up the win and performed the way he did and fought the way he did. It was yeah, it was a really special moment. You're right.
And listen, Julio the father had to do double duty because he had to get back out there a couple fights later because he also
Bruce
coaches
Jr.
Bruce Seldon Jr., right? And
Right.
I got to tell you, because I wrote about this 973ESPN.com, Dave, the evolution of Seldon to actually start becoming like a legitimate boxer and not just like a raw powerhouse, to me was the moment after the first knockdown. He calmly went to the corner and waited for the referee to, that's something that doesn't always happen for guys, that maturity to just take a step back, resort yourself, and then go back in and take care of the job. And listen, I know the guy had a losing record and all that stuff, but I like the fact that the stuff that Julio Sanchez Jr., the coach, has been teaching Bruce Seldon Jr., he's taking to those lessons.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, you're right. And the guy that he fought, granted, had a losing record, but he'd also won two in a row, and he had beaten a 5-0 guy, and not too long ago. So, there was not like a pushover by any stretch. But you're right. I mean, Bruce showed a level of development that I was waiting to see, and he showed it to me the other night. Like you said, the composure, the focus. His first couple fights were understandably raw. He looked raw and looked like you said, anxious a little bit maybe. But this time, yeah, he was collected, calm, and that's a real credit to Julio, Jim Kurtz, and David Dubinsky as managers. They've been kind of preaching that stuff, little by little, since he started turning pro. Plus the fact that he's like 30 years old too, so there's a level of maturity that you might not have with an 18, 19-year-old kid too. So,
True.
But yeah, Bruce is definitely making strides and really developing into a legitimate prospect, I think.
And then finally, we got to mention staying undefeated. We mentioned it briefly before. Justin Figueroa now, and I made the comment before, Dave, about how, it's different when you go from being an undefeated fighter with a single number to two numbers next to your name. When you get in that double digit range. So for you, when you look at Justin Figueroa now that he's, just a year ago, he was 8-0. Then it was 9. Now it's 10, 11, 12. What is your perspective on him as he's building this record?
Um, it's really tough when you have a guy like Justin who's very popular. Um, so the dilemma that his handlers have, Jolene Mazzone and company, have is that people come to see him win, but there's going to come a point where people are going to get tired of him, not tired of him, but wanting to see what happens when he's tested, and he hasn't been tested yet, really, except for Jeff Lentz, who almost beat him, quite frankly. But that was a credit to Justin in that fight, that he came back in the last round and really took it to Jeff when he had to. But now that he's 12-0, you have to he has to step up the level of competition now. The guy he fought the other day had a good record on paper. He was 10-3, I think, something like that. But the guy had never beaten a guy. He'd beaten one guy with a winning record, and that guy was like 3-2 when he beat him. And all his three losses were to undefeated fighters, similar to Justin. So, like I said, it's a real fine balancing act that you have to do. You want to give the people what they want, but then also you have to develop them. I mean, he can't. I don't know if 12-0 is the cutoff or whatever, but there's going to come a point real soon where he's got to really take on a fellow prospect and see where he is and what what his potential is.
A measuring stick fight.
Yes, correct.
I got you. Well, for more boxing coverage, of course, you always check out Dave Weinberg's coverage over at 973ESPN.com, at Dave Weinberg 19 on the Twitter X platform, the Boxing Hall of Fame writer joining us here each and every week, covered the Eagles, covered boxing and more, and we chat about all that and whatever else comes to our minds here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, always appreciate you jumping on the conversation. We'll talk soon.
My pleasure, boss. Josh, anytime as always. You know that. So we'll talk next week, I guess, right?
Absolutely. That's the plan.
All righty.
Dave Weinberg here for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios of Atlantic City. Back to the football talk coming on next. And your text, 609-403-0973. Andy McNamara is back, and he joins us next.
It's Sixers Wizards tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Will be on the arc for three. It's good. He ties it with another three.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball.
Here's Furkan with a breakout. Oh, yeah, reverse jam. Court loss, twist, turns, dunks it.
97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
It's back! It's Bennett Chevy's most popular event, March Markdowns, for the entire month of March. So get to Bennett right now for savings up to 20%. That's right, you get up to 20% off. That's because Bennett sells new Chevys at the true GM supplier employee price, plus gives you all the rebates. So get to Bennett Chevy now and save even more with available 0% financing. Looking for used? Bennett Chevy is South Jersey's largest certified dealer with great savings on every single one. And during March Markdowns, you'll get a minimum $10,000 for the worst clunker towards any pre-owned in stock. That's at least $10,000. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. And our non-commissioned sales team is the best. They're paid on your satisfaction, not your budget and how much you spend. So everybody gets our famous no pressure, friendly, and helpful service. Together, let's drive during March Markdowns at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Same game parlays and slot games for days. Double the fun with the Bally Bet app. Let's play. You can bet on football, basketball, baseball, or play blackjack, roulette, even baccarat, y'all. It's double the fun, 2 apps in one. Download it today, but only if you're 21. The Bally Bet Sportsbook and Casino app. You can win real money on your phone. No cap. Must be 21 plus, New Jersey only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Bally Bet Sportsbook and Casino.
Download it.
Meanwhile, at Xfinity. So, influencer life going well?
Oh, yeah. I'm up to 32 followers.
Oh, that's something.
Yeah, posting my tap dancing videos is easier than ever because we engineered Xfinity Internet with 99.99% network reliability.
Plus, Xfinity Mobile with Wi-Fi Power Boost gives you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. But wait, tap dancing? You don't tap dance.
Hey, what I lack in skill, I make up with passion.
Do more of what you love and love how fast you do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile.
Now through April 17th, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and 1 unlimited mobile line together for $30 a month for 1 year and save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rate supply. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus 1 unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus 1 unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Actual speeds vary. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary.
Score a huge three-pointer this month during the Matt Blatt Kia Gladness Sale. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, or low 1.9% financing for 60 months on every new Kia Sportage and Sorento SUV in stock. Here's a steal. Get up to $5,000 more than Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade. Toward the purchase of any new 2024 Kia with no payments till June. How about a 3-point play? 0 down, 0 payments until June on over 1,100 new Kias in stock, or low 1.9% financing for 60 months, plus 120% more for your trade. It's Gladness, baby, at Matt Blatt Kia in Abington, Egg Harbor Township, and Tom's River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, $1,389 per thousand financed. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payments. Offers can't be combined. Trade less miles and dealer recon on new 2024 Kia purchase. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details, or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 4/4/25.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township,
and on Route 37 in Tom's River.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
We'll get back to text for a little bit later, 609-403-0973. By the way, Danny HT is funny. He says, Sixers and Flyers are the same. Eagles and Phillies are the same. Super Bowl, then I guess a World Series for the Phillies, since they're the same. It's all the same. I don't know if it's all the same, but it's just still a funny comment. Coming up now, though, a man who knows a lot about football, but he also knows about something else, is Andy McNamara joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, before you pipe up, I got to play for the audience. So Andy doing a little non-football work this weekend, and you had a little bit of a call of a fight on your hands at the Sticks.
Second power play goal of the game. Whoa, here we go! We got a fight right now. All right. It's Ryan Wagner, and it's Brad Cree. Wagner, on the top, Cree lays the lumber on the left. He's underneath, spears him into the goal, and they're both down.
You like that? I mean, the call, first of all, the impromptu transition from I'm calling a normal match to, oh boy, here we go. You hit the switch right there, Andy.
Oh, baby, you know it, brother. That was on ESPN Plus last weekend. You know what? I love lacrosse. It is, Josh, if you were to pay me $1 million and say pick your sport to call play-by-play, I honestly would pick lacrosse. Been doing it 11. Okay. This is my 11th season.
Huh.
The excitement level, phenomenal. And you could tell my little, harnessing my JR, the wrestling commentary. Because the funny thing is, I was waiting for a fight all year, all season, no fights. So this one, I was like, whoa, here we go. All right, let's go.
By the way, for those who know, Andy also sometimes does independent wrestling commentating as well. So for those who are wondering, this is not the first time you've had to hit that switch.
Oof! It felt so. My commentary partner was laughing, and but the funny thing, a couple years ago, I'll see if I can post it on social. There was a lacrosse fight, and Josh, the guy got busted open, and so I said, "He's wearing the crimson mask." I was doing that. That clip's been actually getting the round. So, and all the places they have, they don't credit me. So that doesn't help me out much. But thank you, my friend, for crediting me for it.
Well, it was funny because you're calling professional lacrosse Saturday night. My buddy Nick Earnshaw, who works with me here at 97.3 ESPN, was on the sidelines of college playoff lacrosse on Saturday night. So I have two guys I know who are both working lax on the weekend.
I just love the sport. The college lacrosse too. My goodness, it's sensational. And you're seeing actually more and more American field players jump up and excel in the box game, which is a ton of fun. So of course in Philadelphia, you got the Wings, the reincarnation of the Wings. That's who we're playing in Toronto. So it's such a great sport. I highly recommend anybody checking it out. Really good.
Well, let's get to the football here because I think that what just happened in the last 24 hours is going to have a very interesting impact on the entire league. because Russell Wilson, who, by the way, last night the contract is signed, less than 24 hours later, he's in front of a microphone talking about it. Like, talk about a quick turnaround. That was, plus shipping and handling to the dress on the screen, call now kind of situation. But, man, we all thought, Andy, because you've been doing a lot of draft talk on the Sick podcast, at AndyMC81 for more information on the Twitter X platform. Of course, you can follow Andy on IG as well. Andy, we all thought, okay, they added Jameis Winston. That means this whole draft quarterback. Now they signed Russell Wilson, and it's like, there goes the whole idea of Shedeur going to New York, right?
Well, here's the thing. And my mind went in the exact same spot. First of all, weird quarterback room. You sign Jameis to a 2-year deal. You bring in Russ, totally different skill sets, for one, totally different skill sets. And so the immediate thought for me as well was like, all right, well, I guess they're out on Shedeur. But are they? We don't have to go that far back, Atlanta Falcons. You sign Court, you get your QB if he falls. Maybe it's the Giants hedging their bets a little bit. If the Browns get Shedeur, there's so much silly season going on. We'll get to the Dak Prescott rumor, I'm sure, in a moment. Ridiculous. But maybe they're hedging their bets of like, okay, well, if Cam Ward is gone, Shadeur's gone, okay, well, we'll kind of hold it, and then you get a guy in the second round or whatever. So if Shedeur falls, it might not be crazy to think that they still take him. Like, it's a 1-year deal for us, right? Like, play him a few games, then you get Shedeur Sanders in there if he comes to you.
But still, it's like, that's a lot of money to give a guy for just it. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like the Giants are going to trade down. It really does to me because I don't think that they are in love with this quarterback class. I was listening to Diana Rossini hosts the Scoop City podcast with Chase Daniel. And she made the comment, I'm not reporting, she said, but she says, I've heard a lot of executives who don't love this quarterback class. And that maybe a team like the Giants looks at next year's class and says, I want to go that direction. And the reason I bring that up in my mind is because I remember what happened with the Eagles years ago when the Eagles didn't really want anything to do with the 2015 draft class. So they looked ahead to 2016 at maybe they would get a guy there. And that's why they traded up for Wentz. So maybe it's a situation where the Giants say, I need to hold me over for 1 year. And maybe you draft a guy like Tyler Shuck or something like that in the third round and just have a body in there.
And maybe something strikes, right? Maybe the guy you draft becomes what Russell Wilson was for Seattle years ago, right? You get that mid-third, fourth-round pick, whatever. And I think there are some
that
value.
Seattle team, remember they had Matt Flynn and Charlie Whitehurst up there.
That's right. Matt Flynn, after his one game in Green Bay, and got paid. Oh, where's old Matty Flynn now? He's on the beach somewhere, I hope. Good for him.
I'm going to look it up while you talk. I'm going to find out where Matt Flynn is.
Where is he? But the thing is, for the Giants, and for this whole draft, I think there are some very intriguing quarterback prospects. Maybe not somebody to step in day one, be a stud, but maybe later on. I got my combine notes here, Josh. You know, I got them 4 or 5 pages. Guy I want later on. Probably you can get him 6th round. I think Brady Cook, okay? Out of Missouri, 6'2", 214, 4 straight bowl games, moved around a little bit, but 20 rushing touchdowns, 49 touchdowns in the air, just 14 interceptions. Looked phenomenal at the combine. An example of somebody that you don't want to start right away, but you maybe a little bit later on, you have this situation and then you keep them, something happens. So I think you might be right. If he doesn't fall or if they're not in love with it, if you're the Giants too, and the first 2 quarterbacks go, Josh, wouldn't it be pretty juicy to just stay there? Abdul Carter's there. Travis Hunter's there. Mason Graham. Like, you have all the best players. The quarterbacks aren't the best players in this draft. If you're the Giants and QBs go 1-2, you get your choice of all the best players. It's a smash. Like, and then you take a guy later, tread water with Russ and Jameis, and go from there. Might be a great situation for him.
Really quick, because the Browns are right up there in the draft this year. So, like, for you, are you looking around the other teams and saying, yes, Tennessee, take Cam Ward, knock somebody down the list. Like, is there a guy for you, not a quarterback, that you're saying if you're the Browns, if you're the Giants, if you're the Raiders, if you're those teams that are behind the number one, that you're saying, come on, boys, go get those quarterbacks. I want somebody else.
You know what? It's not that I dislike the players. I dislike taking them at 2.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Do I like Abdul Carr? I think he's a hell of a player. I don't think, unless you use him Micah Parsons-esque and kind of move him around, I don't think he's a best fit in a Jim Schwartz defense. I love Mason Graham as a defensive tackle, but there's Derek Harmon, Kenneth Britt. There's guys I could probably get in the second round who maybe the drop-off isn't as much. Travis Hunter, I think, is a hell of a talent. But Josh, again, is he the best cornerback in this draft? Is he the best wide receiver? Where are you using him? And do I want to spit? He would be the lightest player in NFL draft history to be taken second overall. That's a bit of a concern. And I don't know if I'm the Browns, what am I going to be excited? Can he pick it, chucking the ball to Travis Hunter? Come on. Right? Like, I would rather, if I'm the Browns, look, the only quarterback I'd be furious if they took would be Jalen Milroe. I'll lose my mind. I can't have it. It's ridiculous.
Listen, I said this last week, Andy, that I think the Steelers meeting with Jalen Milroe shows that organization went from being a run-well franchise to being a desperate franchise. Like, they have got to a point.
Desperate.
This organization was smart when they drafted Ben Roethlisberger, right?
Yeah.
They didn't panic. They didn't trade up 20 spots. They just let the draft come to them. They got their guy, right?
Yeah.
It's like Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph and now maybe Jalen Milroe. It's like they better hope Aaron Rodgers comes.
Well, yeah, and really that's the other domino, right? Where's Aaron Rodgers going to show up? And really, Aaron Rodgers again is a stopgap. This is not your long-term solution.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just saying that if I have to choose between Milroe and Dart or Aaron Rodgers, I think the choice is pretty clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'll tell you this. I like Jackson Dart a little bit better than Shedeur Sanders longer term. I think Shedeur Sanders can go in. I think he can be maybe right with Cam Ward, because I love Cam Ward, arguably the best day one rookie starter, because I think his floor is higher. I think he can't be, but I think his ceiling is much lower. Jackson Dart's been real impressive to me. I did a mock on my show last night, the Pro Football Network mock draft simulator. I don't know if you guys have tried it. It's sensational. They offer you trades and stuff. So I got offered a trade from Jacksonville to move down with the Browns from 2 to 5. Jacksonville went up to Travis Hunter. Maybe they fall in love. I don't know. And the Browns, I took Jackson Dart, and then I loaded up from there. It could be a reach. But Josh, what have we talked about on the show? Bo Nix was a reach. It doesn't become a reach if it's your guy. I don't know if that's who the Browns like. I would still take Will Howard in the 3rd round if he's there, because I think he can be the man. But boy, if you're the Browns, your quarterback room right now is Kenny Baby Hands Pickett. That's madness. Madness. And you're not getting Aaron Rodgers. The Dak Prescott rumors, where's the money coming from?
Well, first of all, the Dak Prescott rumor has been debunked, because I've seen both James Slater of NFL Network and somebody else, I think it might have been Clarence Hill of the Star Telegram, both say that the whole thing was basically fake news, and that apparently the guy who reported it, and I don't want to get into a whole, almost like a conspiracy theory here. Apparently the guy who reported it made up the report to get clicks, basically.
Oh, I believe I first heard from a well-known Cleveland guy. Is that who you're talking about?
It's some guy who has an online show. Like, he's not even on the radio anymore.
Bruce Drennan, I believe.
That guy, yeah. Apparently he used to be on the radio. Now he's not anymore. And he has like a digital-only show.
Right.
And I have sources. He's one of those guys.
Yeah.
And he went out there and put out this story, and now, if you follow any of the Cowboys people, most of them are saying it's fake. Jane Slater's losing her mind. She's doing this whole thing about how, this is why journalism is dead. She's going off on social media.
Look, it makes zero sense. It would make complete sense if it is debunked, because look at the financials. Unless the Browns send Deshaun Watson as part of the deal to Dallas, and Jerry Jones is nuts, but I don't think he's that nuts.
No,
the deal cannot happen. It physically, financially,
Jerry's
cannot
too busy
happen.
drinking Johnny Walker on his boat right now.
Attaboy, Jerry. Come on now. Have a couple sips before draft night. Let's go crazy. Hey, let's look at this. I'm telling you, Josh, Do not discount the Dallas Cowboys doing something weird for Shedeur Sanders. Don't discount it. I got a feeling. If he gets by, because think about this. If the Browns don't take him, and the Giants say from your scenario, they don't take him, well, where does he go? Well,
Jets.
Possibly the Raiders first.
The Raiders are very big, apparently, on him.
Tom Brady is his mentor, but you got Geno Smith as well. What if a player like, maybe they fancy Mason Graham? What if somebody else is there? The Jets. What if they see oh, wow, I can't believe this player fell. Then you start, does he get past New Orleans? At that point, does Dallas start trading up to us? Who knows? Like, that would not shock me. I think it would shock the world, but that would not shock me if they did a move like that to try to jump up a little bit. So the Shedeur Sanders factor, that could be the faller. Jackson Dart could be a bit of a faller or a surprise riser.
The guy I keep thinking of for the Cowboys is Ashton Genty. I could totally see them drafting a running back.
That would make sense.
The guy's from the area. You know, he's a local guy, big-time running back. You know, Jared loves his stars, you know.
Yeah, Josh, but here's the thing. If you were telling me that 2 years ago with the mindset of the Cowboys and before that, when it looked like they had Jerry on a leash, they were taking offensive linemen, they didn't draft Johnny Manziel 2014, I would agree. But Jerry's off the leash. He's nuts now. So, like, this is a case, again, where I think we cannot discount crazy Jerry Jones and what he might do on draft night. And for entertainment purposes, I hope he locks himself in a room and just picks up the phone and goes nuts. Let's go.
Well, the Eagle fans would love that because Eagle fans love nothing more than a bad Cowboys team. Before I let you go, because, by the way, I think that I heard a comment from somebody today. They said that the difference between Browns and other fan bases is that the Browns will go to games for each other. Other fan bases will go because they're loyal to the team. The Brown fans are just loyal to other fans, so they go for like moral support sometimes. So, can you vouch for that?
Just to support. Like, I'm too caught up with being miserable and just self-loathing. I don't have time to support. The only team I will support if it doesn't affect the Browns directly is the Eagles, because I come on with you. I love the fans of this show. So I got a soft spot for the Eagles. But, man, other than that, it's like, I got enough problems to worry about feeling sore. Sympathy for other fans? What? Feel sorry for me.
No, I know. It's sympathy for each other. That Browns fans go to the games to support each other.
Oh, I got you. Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you went to other games to support.
They're not going to cheer on the team.
They're
going because
their
buddy in seat 140 needs a friend.
That I can vouch for. We got friends. We got friends in Claresville, Ohio. We meet up every year, and it's just me. It's like, man. And you know what? We go a couple days in advance of the game on the Friday because you want the worst part of the weekend on my trip is the game. That's the worst part. Everything else on the lead up is great. You convince yourself to get the actual game. You start, you're like, oh, yeah,
game time.
Game time, and it's over.
I gotta go, but before I let you go, I found Matt Flynn.
Where is he?
He owns a hydration company called My High, where he has scientifically engineered electrolyte water with no sugar and no extra additives. I'm scrolling through his website. Apparently, he appears on ESPN Baton Rouge every single week. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a business owner. Matt Flynn.
That looks, you know what, maybe a future show spot. I'd have some electrolyte water. Why not? Come on, Flynn. Let's go. Interesting. Well, good on him. Heck.
Oh my gosh. I gotta go. We got the
buddy.
Sixers and their trash team coming up next on 97.3 ESPN. So
all right. We'll talk to you soon, buddy. Who knows what happens next week?
Oh, I'm sure we'll be talking about it next week, you and I.
Yes, we will.
Take care, my friend.
All right, pal. See ya.
Andy McNamara, AndyMC81 on the Twitter X platform. The Sick Podcast. Like, subscribe, and download wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, Matt Flynn. Went from 6 touchdowns in a game, big contract with Seattle, and now he's slinging electrolyte water. Good for him. Good for that guy. That's what I say. You know what? You made something of yourself, Matt Flynn. Good for you, buddy. I'm Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you tomorrow.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at the Cheese Board, Central Square in Linwood for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com.
All right, Josh Hennig here with a special YouTube exclusive post show. Went a little long with Andy McNamara, but it's okay. We're still here on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. I just got to move some items around in the station's schedule here, so that way I can give you guys my undivided attention for a few minutes, because there is a specific topic that I wanted to hit on before we get out of here. And we're not going to spend a ton of time on it because I don't like talking about people. Okay, I'm not a fan of being the guy that talks about other people without them being here to defend themselves. Okay? But this Pat McAfee conversation with LeBron, they called it the LeBronization or whatever they called it. Their conversation with LeBron. I got to tell you guys, I am incredibly disappointed in the fact that we are now at a point where athletes basically are allowed to have conversations without being challenged. A huge reason why the media, as we know it, was always supposed to be involved when it came to covering sports was because when you have a question, when you have a concern, you would be able to bring it to the player and get their genuine response and answer to things. But now in today's age, because everyone's got a podcast, everyone's has a show, people are basically allowed to say whatever they want without any pushback, without any impunity, without any repercussions. And this LeBron James situation is a brutal example of that. So just a quick overview, because I'm not going to sit here and waste everybody's time, because LeBron was on Pat McAfee's show for over an hour-long conversation. So, again, I'm not going to rehash the entire conversation because that's not what's important for what we are going to discuss right here. It's the specific part when LeBron went off about the media. And what bothered me about what LeBron said about the media was he came off incredibly tone deaf. He came off incredibly ignorant. And I really, really wonder if LeBron James has a grasp on reality. Because part of the conversation that was had on Pat McAfee's show, he basically accused all of the people in the media of being weirdos and oddballs and really portrayed everyone in the media as like, they're the weirdos. I'm fine. I'm normal. And the moment that you are somebody and you accuse everyone else of being the weird ones, but you're fine and you're normal, you got to look yourself in the mirror, buddy. You got to have an honest conversation about, are you maybe part of the problem? I think that's where LeBron is coming up short in this. I think LeBron is part of the problem, and he doesn't want to admit it. LeBron James has a lot to say about a lot of things. But for him to sit there and criticize the media and basically insinuate that they need to stay in their lane is the equivalent of people telling LeBron James and other athletes for years that they should just shut up and dribble, that they should just stick to sports and not have political opinions, social, economic opinions, whatever it may be. It is absolutely incredible to me that LeBron doesn't see the double standard, that he treats the media with such a level of disregard and disdain. And the problem is that it's people like LeBron that have enabled the modern media environment. Because people like LeBron James, these superstar mega athletes, have a level of influence and power that they can dictate narratives, storylines, conversations in a way the average person has no power at all. It's like in politics where the average person doesn't really have a say in a lot of what's going on in the world. So they hope the person they vote for represents them. And if the person they voted for doesn't represent them, they're basically DOA. They have no hope. They have no chance. And that's why, for me, I look at this situation where LeBron is saying Brian Windhorst is a weirdo because he thinks I'm his best friend, which Brian Windhorst has never said. He accuses other reporters of taking things too far. But what has LeBron done to level the playing field, I should say? Well, what LeBron has done is he has enabled and advocated for what we know today as alternative media. LeBron James is one of the people who has financially supported numerous shows, podcasts, and digital platforms with his own money that give athletes a platform to speak basically without anyone questioning them. This wave of athlete having podcasts and shows and digital platforms, you know, the Kelsey brothers with the New Heights show, Paul George before he went on hiatus from being Podcast P, you know, all these different people, it all was accelerated by LeBron because LeBron put his money into platforms like Undisputed and, you know, his own company, and he has supported outlets like the Players Tribune, and he has put his own money to help finance many of these platforms that have turned into outlets for athletes to speak their mind without consequence. Because the problem is that the original purpose of the media was to be a conduit between the player and teams and the fans. In today's world, the media has been basically converted into boogeymen by athletes. There are these athletes want to make the media into the bad guys. You said this, you said that. You know, it used to be sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now it's, I don't like what you said, so I'm going to create my own podcast so I can say what I want to say. And so the reason why guys like Micah Parsons and guys like all these athletes, okay, who have these podcasts, and they get into hot water, Paul George, for example, with the Sixers, the reason why they get into hot water is because there's nobody a part of their inner circle. There's no one a part of their podcasts, their shows, their platforms that are the counter, that are the devil's advocate, that actually ask the questions that create the consequential answers. Some of these podcasts, honestly, are boring as anything. They're just guys talking about whatever they want. They're not substantive conversations. But the problem is, instead of LeBron James doing what Michael Jordan did back in the day. Again, another difference between LeBron and Jordan. We're going to hit on it right here. Michael Jordan said, I am only going to do one-on-one interviews with these specific people. I'm only going to speak off the record to these reporters. I am only going to trust these handful of people with my words, with my time, with my image. Michael Jordan made Ahmad Rashad and NBC Sports in the 1990s because he gave them exclusives. He gave them inside access. He created what we all beloved in 90s basketball because Michael Jordan gave them the seal of approval. And so did other athletes in the 90s. And by the way, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, they did it in the 80s. Basketball history is full of athletes dictating to the media, you report on me fairly, you're good to me, I'm going to give you the access. Tom Brady has done it in the NFL. Tom Brady has given people such as Jim Gray and Peter King and others a level of credibility that is beyond what they already had because he says, I'm going to speak to you. I'm going to give you the exclusive. I'm not going to give it to somebody else. That's how you're supposed to do it, LeBron. Instead, you feel that it's better to go on Pat McAfee's show, name call people, rip into people, instead of having a sit-down interview and say to whoever, okay? I don't even care who it is, okay? I just saw George Sedano over my shoulder on the television. Like, you want to give it to George Sedano? Fine. You want to give it to Rachel Nichols, who's now with Turner Sports, with CNN? Fine. You want to give it to Charles Barkley, Ernie Johnson, and Shaq, or those guys? Fine. I don't care who you give it to. But instead of going on a platform like McAfee and just saying whatever the heck you want, without any pushback, without any follow-ups, because that's really where the McAfee show is teetering right now. McAfee is trying to maintain this level of relationships he has with these players and these coaches and these other athletes so they keep coming back on the show. But he does it by not asking any uncomfortable questions. You can ask uncomfortable questions without being confrontational. This doesn't have to be a us versus you situation. That's never the point of an interview. The point of an interview is to give the audience who are listening or watching the interview information and insights they would not have otherwise. LeBron basically ripping into the media, saying the media goes too far, the media is out of control, they're all wild, they're whacked, and whatever else he said, because I've only seen a few clips, but I got the message loud and clear. LeBron James would rather criticize people than have a real conversation with those people. LeBron James confronting Stephen A. Smith was one of the stupidest things I ever saw. Who cares if Stephen A. Smith questions you as a father? Who cares if Stephen A. Smith questions about your son? Who cares what Stephen A. Smith says? If you care that much, tell Stephen A. Smith. Go through his handlers. LeBron's got tons of connections. He could have called ESPN. He could have called Stephen A's best friend. Called whoever. Have his agent do it. Hey, we're going to have a one-on-one conversation. And it's going to get uncomfortable. It's going to get heated. Let's dig into this. No, he doesn't do that. He confronts him at a game and yells at him. Why? What are you so sensitive about? And again, it goes back to the modern athlete. These guys who we revere as these elite athletes are showing us that they're just overgrown children. Kevin Durant having Twitter battles with people. Why? LeBron James willing to take time to go on McAfee's show, but won't sit down with Brian Windhorst and say, hey, Brian, I got some problems I want to work out with you. Why won't he do that? Instead of the athlete giving the stamp of approval like athletes of old, the modern athlete would rather go on shows and podcasts and platforms that don't push back on them. And it's really a shame. It's really a shame that these athletes have gotten to that point. And again, I don't want to belabor the point, but I don't want to sit here and speak out of turn. But what I will say is this. I would challenge LeBron to have those kind of conversations. Have the hard interview. Have the hard conversation. Don't go on a platform that's just fun and cool and we're all happy and having a good time. One of the reasons why I love what Ryan Clark is doing with The Pivot and what Robert Griffin III is doing with his podcast is that those guys are not just having people on for a good time. They're having people on for real conversations. And so there's more than just, we're here to have fun attitude to it. It's a, we're grown-ups. We're going to talk. Literally, Stephen A. Smith went on Robert Griffin III's podcast, and they had a deep conversation about Stephen A. Smith problems with athletes, Robert Griffin III's problems with people like Stephen A. Smith in the media. That's adults. That's what grown men do. LeBron James would rather go on the New Heights podcast and Pat McAfee show and just say whatever he wants, and nobody's allowed to question him or challenge him. It's more important for these guys to be heard than it is for them to be correct. And it's part of the problem of the world we live in. We all have our social medias, right? Our phones, our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook, our YouTube, if you have TikTok, whatever platform you're on. Our feed is customized for us based on who we follow, based on algorithms, based on what we've watched, what we've consumed. So our entire social media environment is surrounded by people that are empathetic to us and our opinions and our views and our likes and our interests, and we're never exposed anymore to anyone who thinks and says differently than us. And as soon as we hear something different, people freak out. And I think that's the problem. Part of the problem is that these athletes have grown up in such a coddled and customized environment that as soon as anyone says anything contrary to them, like the Joker said, they just lose their minds. All right, thanks to all of you for watching out there on my YouTube channel, at Josh Hennig. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. We try to do these post shows when I have opportunities after the 97.3 ESPN show. I'll be back on tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern, for more on 97.3 ESPN FM and right here on my YouTube channel, at Josh Hennig. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all later.